You cut it off, dog.
Yeah, I cut it off. Yeah, nigga, you all on your down here. Merlin Knight, Vice President, South Fulton Chamber of Commerce, and I am father.
This is Allen Ervin, and you're watching another episode of I Am Father, and I'm excited about it. I have an opportunity right now to talk to a brother of mine, Merlin Knight. How you doing, Merlin?
I'm doing well, Allen. Good, doing well.
Hey, thanks for coming out, man. It's like, wow, Merlin? An opportunity to talk with Merlin today. So tell me, Merlin, we're here to talk about fatherhood.
Okay.
What does fatherhood mean to you?
Well, that's a very broad question. There's so many aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
Be it a supporter, a champion, a giver, a lover, all those things combined to make a father who he is.
I tell you what, man, you really hit on something there because it is broad. You know, fatherhood to me would be different for you, you know, what it means to you. And every other man in this world, because we all have different journeys. I mean, my journey may be different from your journey.
Exactly.
It's really different because it's almost like the seeds that you bring on the earth here. You can't raise them the same.
No. You
cannot.
cannot.
Everybody is different, but tell the audience a little bit about yourself. I mean, how many kids do you have? The genders. Have you ever been married? What puts you in the fatherhood category?
I have the one son, or
Okay.
should I say the one adult. He's
Okay.
now an adult.
Okay.
And when I tell you, being raised as the last of 12 children, I was adamant about not having a house full because you're having to share too much. So
Wow.
so as that one child came about, it was all about making sure he was able to get all he needed from sun up to sundown.
Hold on, stop. Hold on. I mean, what's it like being in a house with 12 siblings?
Confusing. When you're the youngest, you're always trying to figure out where do you fit, how do you fit, what side of the street will you be on, or which end of the bed will you sleep on? Because in our community, there was never enough bed space. Or should I say in our household, there was never enough bed space.
Hold on, stop. Because there was three of us, right, in the house. And I would sleep with my brother. Me and my brother would sleep together, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was just three. Now you got 12?
Yeah.
How many of y'all slept in the bed together?
Depends on what day of the week.
Oh my goodness.
That's where, you really don't realize a queen size and a king size bed really does work.
Oh, we slept in twins, though. There wasn't no queen. My mom, my dad, or whoever got the queen.
Yeah, you have to manage to put enough kids on enough bed space. Of course, it takes a while.
I tell you, man, that's even with that, we still didn't know we was sleeping on twins.
Right.
I mean, we still didn't know it was much better out there. It really didn't even matter. What we wanted to do is sleep and get up and go to school and come back and do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, in my case, it was more so, will I be able to sleep on the bed today or tomorrow? Because again, even in this day and time, I marvel at the fact that had it not been for that baseline, I would not be who I am today. Or more so, would not have been able to give my child the things that I did not have, because I wanted to make sure, as being a parent, you want to make sure your child is catered to and cuddled enough that they can understand that they're truly loved. So when they go out in the world, they'll always remember, this is what I was given as a child. So as they become a man or a woman, they'll know how to act within that setting.
Man, that's good stuff. So how old is your kid?
He's 22 now.
22. Okay.
Serving in the U.S. Army.
Oh, he's in the Army?
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. How long he's been there?
Going on 2 years now.
Okay, that's a little different. So how is that though? I have a son. He's in Nebraska, going off to college. I mean, what type of things do you think about at night for a son that's going off to the military?
Well, here's the thing. I wanted him to follow me on the path to straight to college, but that was not what he wanted to do. He was very athletic, very intuitive of what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Even when he was in Boy Scouts, I could see him doing the rope climb, and I laugh at it now because here he is in the Army actually climbing on ropes and going across the ocean and jumped in water and doing those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was already ingrained in him that that's where he was going to be.
Wow.
Hindsight is 20/20, right?
Proverbial 2020. You're right.
So it's like, if you think about that, it's like, wow, that kid was already doing these things. So he's comfortable where he's at, doing what he wants to do, because he's forging his own way in his own world. As a parent, you're always going to be concerned about their health and their safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given. But there's nothing you can do about that but continue to give them the love and support where it's needed and when it's needed. You can't do it for them because they're going to bump their head.
They got to.
They're going to bump their head.
They
and
got
if you don't
to.
allow them to bump their head, they'll never understand how to be a man or how to be an adult.
Absolutely. But it seems like you put them on that path because, I tell you what, man, I mean, there's no step process in this. There's no one, step two, step three, because even though I went a different path, they never went to Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. But I feel kind of bad because I didn't do those things with them. You know, I didn't, because in Boy Scouts, they're going to learn how to fish. They're going to learn how to camp. They're going to learn how to do all those things that I would love to do. You took the Boy Scout role, and now he's living that thing out, man.
Yeah.
And you showed me a picture earlier, and I was like, wow. Oh, he's Special Forces, if nothing else.
Well, I won't say. I won't say. But here it is. I was in Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure, again, he was able to embrace some of those things that I did so that he can figure out exactly where he wanted to be. He played football, but I wanted to play football, but I couldn't. You know, being the last one in the run, I was a bench rider. So therefore, that wasn't going to work for me. He ran track. I ran track. So again, he was very athletic, wanted to be his own person, but in a sense, you're kind of living your life through him at the early age. But when you realize at a certain point, you got to allow them to grow
be
for
themselves. Yeah, they got to be themselves, man.
But it certainly worked out for him, though.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he was successful. I mean, he's successful now.
Yes.
And that's what you want. So it has to work out for you as well with that. Yeah. Absolutely. He's in the military right now. That's Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam means different things to different people.
Sure.
What does it mean to you?
Well, Uncle Sam has never been my uncle. Okay. So my thing was always to allow him to think for himself. But understanding there's a rule. There are rules and regulations. So there were rules and regulations in my house. So therefore, you go to your employer and understand that's now your employer. He's not your uncle. He's your employer. So therefore, if you're going to maintain and grow in your profession, you've got to learn how to follow the rules. That's my take on it.
And rules are in everything.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. Rules are definitely in everything. Now, were you married?
Yes.
Okay, how long were you married?
6 years.
Okay. And how old are you?
Old enough to be grown.
I thought I wanted to throw that out there. Just throw it out there. Hey, but I tell you, man, it's definitely important to allow your kids to be them.
Because if you don't, you stifle them and you stifle what potential they may have. You want to give them or show them opportunity. If you don't embrace the opportunities or allow them to embrace the opportunities in front of them, it's more than just saying, I want you to play ping pong or I want you to play basketball. There's more to life. You need, it's called exposure. Give them exposure. Give them culture. Let them see how a movie is being made, or let them see how to milk that cow. All those things play a factor into their growth in life. Because if they don't, then you're kind of harboring them from what is out there. So you want them truly to grow and be able to experience life. And so as well as travel, you gotta get your
I think that's
children
very
to travel.
important. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah, because when that happens, they start to understand other cultures and other nationalities, and more so other people. Because if all you see is you and I, once he goes across the street, he won't know how to embrace someone else.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. You can't give them everything.
No, you can't.
It's just not enough time. But you mentioned something earlier. You said stifle. What are some of the disadvantages of doing those things and using those parenting styles that will stifle your kid in one direction or another? I mean, what are some of those disadvantages when a kid is stifled?
Because when they're stifled, they don't understand. Let's say, for instance, you wash all of their clothes. It's time for them to go away from home. What happens?
They don't know how to wash their
They
clothes.
don't know how to use a washing machine.
Oh my goodness.
So what happens? Clothes get ruined.
Yep. They don't see the value.
No value is there.
Yep.
So you give them opportunity. Here's why we use what we use. Here's why we do what we do. And if you don't do that, then of course by the time they turn 18, it's too late.
Yep.
Now someone has to go out there and retrain them, or not necessarily retrain, but raise your adult. And that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I mean, when you want to make sure you give them those things, you're giving them the opportunity to bump their head early and learn from their mistakes. So once it happens again, they know how to react to it other than shy away.
I completely agree with you, man. And it's really stepping on my toes because I actually think stifling is almost the inevitable. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they can't learn everything, right?
Right.
But I was having a conversation with my son, and he just had an operation on a surgery on his knee. And in the midst of that, he wasn't able to drive his car, right? So his tire was, when I went out there, I was like, Gabe, you got to figure out how to get some air in your tire because it's going to keep going down and da, right? But one thing I wasn't able to show him how to do.
Just change the tire?
Change the damn tire, dog. No. I'm like, what?
Every man
I'm like,
change the tire.
Look, Gabe, you really making me look bad. Not only that, Gabe, you got to learn how to change the tire. And I'm saying to myself, okay, well, how you going to learn if I don't teach him? Well, nobody actually taught me how to change the tire.
Well, my dad did.
He did?
He also taught me how to wash clothes.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, a lot of stuff I learned was in college, and I did it myself. Yeah. But I say to myself, I mean, how can you get all this out on what he need to learn or what she need to learn? And no, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, you can't do it all at one time. And you can't do it all at one time.
Okay.
But more so, you have to be vigilant, and you have to be consistent being in their life.
Oh, you got to be present.
You have to be more than present.
Okay.
Because being present doesn't do anything.
Okay.
They see you, but they don't see any action.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Oh, so when I say present, I'm talking about you got to be present and active. I mean, you have to understand, listen, even if you talk to them once a week, and part of the conversation in that 1 week is You know, how was math? Well, math, I'm failing in math. And then the next week, that one day, math need to come up. How you doing in math? Are you doing better in math?
Or more so, where is it that you're needing help in math? Not just saying, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
Why is it coming up? Why is it not coming up?
Absolutely.
Because there's that part of being persistent and actually engaging with them versus just being present.
Absolutely.
Instead of having a conversation and saying once a week, how's your grade? Well, hell, I don't know. How was it last week? Hell, I don't know. What steps were put in place to make sure that, okay, come next week, here are the benchmarks we need to have in place to make sure this does not happen the following week.
Yeah.
Because if that doesn't
happen, you gotta
happen,
know those benchmarks though.
Yeah. Because if you don't set benchmarks for them early, then by the time Uncle Sam sets the benchmark, they're confused.
But I'm saying, as a father, you have to know benchmarks.
You have to know because
right. But every father ain't gonna know.
I was raised military.
Okay.
So I understood that there's a guideline.
Okay.
And there's, as they say in my dad's house, you walked on eggshells when he came home because you didn't know which way he was going.
Right.
So you need to make sure all your peas were in the right pot. So therefore, but understanding that raising your own child, you want to make sure that you're not doing exactly what he did because I didn't do barking, all that. I always told my child, our house is a sanctuary. This is sanctuary for us.
Good stuff.
We have a lot of cousins. We have a lot of relatives that are ghetto families, but that's not who we are. We'll go out there and hang out with them, but when we come home, this is our sanctuary. So you need to understand, keep your things in order so that when you go outside, you'll be in place. But
Man, that's good stuff.
You can come home and release.
So I feel the same way, right? Your home is different than the world.
Yes.
I mean, even for a man or a father, right?
Correct.
So a father go out there, he fight, right? He scrap, he come out wounded, you know what I'm saying? He go back home. It's where you get bandaged up. It's where you get healed, to go out and fight another day. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
What does that mean for a kid, though? How is a kid fighting the world and come home in a sanctuary?
Well, a kid going out in the world, I've always told them, your job is going to school.
Okay.
So when you go to that schoolhouse, you got to battle not only the teacher or at the administration, you've got to battle those other students in that classroom, fighting for what you what they might think you have. So you have to understand how to counter all of that. So when you come home, you don't have to go and battle them physically, but when you come home, you want to be able to release. That's the reason why his cousins were always wanting to come to our house because, it's peaceful.
It's peaceful, yeah.
We know we can act up, but we know we still at peace here. So when I say sanctuary, that is your sanctuary. You know the world is out there. It's going to be out there. But how do you counter that?
That's good. That's good. So what you're saying is they could be bullied at school.
Yeah.
When they come home, it's going to be a place of refuge. It's going to be a place of just refueling.
A place of love.
Place of love.
Place of love. And even when they're at school and you say bullying, you know how to handle a bully at school, but you can't necessarily physically handle that bully. But when you come home, you say, I won that because it was a mental game. Sure up your mental game at the school because that's your job every day. You're battling all these demons at the school. This is your battlefield. So when you come home, you know you've won the war. Or you won that battle for the day. So now you can relax and release.
And that's what I think home, man, is you come to release and relax for a kid, for a mom, for a father. You know what I'm saying? Home, you right, is your sanctuary.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And if you coming home to fight another war, fight another battle, that ain't healthy.
No, it's not healthy, and it's not good to raise a child in that type of environment.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Again, so many fathers or mothers have been battled and beaten, bruised outside the home.
Yeah.
They come home and still are battling.
Yeah.
So now you've created another battlefield.
Yeah.
So now the child is raising themselves, trying to counter what you're doing. Whereas you've instructed this child from early on, hey, this is what we've got to battle outside. These are the things we are going to encounter outside. So what I want you to understand is how to handle those things. So when you come home, you don't feel like you have to come home to a cage, but come home to a refuge where you can actually release and enjoy your being as a preteen, teenager, and a young adult. Now, don't get me wrong. You come to this door to come the wrong way. It's you and I.
Yep.
And we only had that happen twice.
Yep. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show because you have enlightened me to a whole new aspect, which is home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Home has to be home. And a house is not home.
No. Luther says it best.
Yeah. A house is not home.
Luther says it best.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, raising black boys, brown boys in this culture that we're in takes a little more effort. We have to be more than just present. We have to be engaging and understanding. Yes, he came, I'll give you a story. He came home with a D in science. I flew off the hinges because I was a science major. How the hell you come home with a D? And I didn't know about it. So at the time he was wearing this funky hairstyle. We go to the barber shop, as we normally do. I'm sitting there waiting on his barber. His barber said, we're cutting it. Tell him how he's cutting it.
You cut his hair off?
Yes, I cut it off. I cut it off. Because there's a consequence to everything we do.
Okay.
And the consequence was this. You came home with a grade that was not comfortable for me to be understanding.
So you cut his hair off?
Here's your punishment.
Oh, wow.
And cool and collected as I was, I sat right there reading the paper. He asked him how he was going to shape it up. I said, no, we're cutting it all off today. Now, mind you, he was mad.
What did he say?
He had nothing to say. Who was paying the bill? Now, mind you, as a young man, he has a wallet in his pocket. Because again, I had always told you always got to have your wallet with you because your ID is you. If you don't have your wallet, there is no you. So you must have your wallet with you as well. You must have some money in your wallet.
But you know what that said? That illustrated fatherhood, respect, submission, and all of that is the way it's supposed to be. I mean, as a child, you're going to respect your father. You're going to submit to your father. Doesn't mean you got to like your father.
Right.
And it was part of it. And if it did anything, in the midst of everything that it did, one thing that it did is it told him that you got to be serious about your grades. And every father ain't going to take the approach that I take.
Right.
You know? But you got to be, and how many times you had to cut his hair off?
Once.
One time. One time.
One time.
Yep. And his hair going to grow back.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it is now he wears it very cut.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the military, right? He's in the military. Hey, man.
So I got my wish.
Yeah, you got it. Hey, dog, you got it. But I'm going to tell you this, man.
Yes.
I really appreciate you stopping by. I know you got a lot going on. But I want you to know that I appreciate you stopping by and giving us your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thanks for coming by, man.
Thank you. I am father.
I am father. Listen. I tell you this though, if you like what you heard, right, and you see value in what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel, like the page, get notified when we put out new content. And if you know anybody, because what we're doing, we're talking about fatherhood.
That's right.
Right? If you know anybody that can benefit from this episode or any other episode, share it to them. because what we want to do is we want to make better fathers in the world. So like, subscribe, share, and comment, because we are definitely going live here soon, and we want your comments. We want to answer to your comments, and we're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you again.